Good morning, Year 6. Today we're going to learn to plan a piece of descriptive writing. So, as part of doing this, you're going to decide where and when the events of your description are going to be set, to use box success criteria to plan how you want the readers to feel, to decide on what descriptive techniques that you're going to use, to decide on what sentence structures you're going to use, and to start to generate different words and phrases that you might use in your description. Okay, so today we're going to plan the first part of our descriptive writing. First of all, though, remember we need to make sure that our piece of writing has the correct historical context. We've looked at pictures of air raids, shelters and bomb damage from the time, and now let's look at some pictures of the inside of people's houses. Okay, so this is a type of child's bedroom that would be there in the 1940s. A metal frame bed, blankets and sheets on the bed, not duvets, brown wooden furniture, wooden or metal toys, not plastic, and definitely no TV and electronic games. Many houses did not have an inside bathroom or toilet, so people would have to go outside to use a toilet. And so because of that, there was a chamber pot or a potty, chamber pot they would call it, that would be in the bedroom so that people didn't have to go outside during the night. This is a downstairs living room of a 1940s house. Okay, we've got a picture of the King and Queen on the wall. People were very loyal to the royal family in these days. Okay, this is a gramophone, record player. Okay, a big piece of furniture. There isn't a wireless in this room. Here's a wireless. This is families gathering around the wireless in order to hear news or listen to music or stories. And here's another picture of a wireless that people would have in the 1940s. And these are things that might be in your bedroom. Soap and a flannel for washing, a jug and a basin to wash your face, so the jug would be filled with water, and then when you wanted to wash your face and hands you could pour it into the basin. This is actually a hot water bottle. Okay, so it's made out of a ceramic, made out of china. Okay, so I don't think it would be very cozy and comfortable, but obviously it'd be filled with hot water and put in your bed to keep the bed warm. Not cozy like our soft fluffy ones today. Okay, there's a YouTube video if you'd like to watch, just shows another example of a boy's bedroom from the time. Okay, so your independent writing, what we're building up to, your independent writing about an air raid is going to comprise 3 sections. Before the air raid, during the air raid attack, and the aftermath. So what the place looks like after the attack. And today we're going to plan the before section. So first of all, think about where and when you are going to be when this air raid takes place. And then what is going to break the silence? So that's going to be at the end of your paragraph and leading into the air raid itself. Okay, so my one is going to be in my bedroom just after I've gone to bed. And it's going to be early autumn, that time of year, and it's going to be set at night time. Okay, so you're familiar with this sort of box grid. So this is the same for all of us. Your writing is actually a diary that you're writing for yourself, but for your future self. You know this is important, the war is important, so you're recording as many details of the event as possible so that you have a memory of it when you are older. So first of all, how do you want the reader to feel? So that's going to be you. You want to know that you felt safe when you went to bed. Well, this is my one, okay? You may well choose to have other feelings. You may have been frightened when you went to bed, okay? It's up to you how you're going to write it. This is yours. Mine is going to be safe and comfortable, warm. I need to make sure that I remember what it was like to be in the 1940s. But as that paragraph progresses, I want to remember that I was feeling apprehensive, nervous about what might be going to happen. And finally, when that siren cuts through, I'm going to feel frightened, and I want to remember that I was frightened. You can use as much of my ideas as you like, okay? But if you've got your own ideas, you can use yours, obviously. Okay. So now, what features are we going to need to achieve the feeling of being safe and comfortable and warm? So let's look first of all at descriptive features. So I'm going to make sure that I use my senses to describe what I can see, the everyday objects around me, and the sounds and smells from my house. Okay, familiar things. I'm going to make sure that when I'm writing about the 1940s, I'm using historically accurate description. So I'm not going to call it a radio, I'll call it a wireless. I'm not going to say that I snuggled under my duvet, I'm going to snuggle under my blankets. So I'm going to make sure that I use precise adjectives to really describe what things were like at the time. Okay, so when I want to show my feelings about being apprehensive, I want to use a simile so that I can show, not tell. I felt like my heart was beating like a train running through the tracks, across the tracks, that kind of idea for a simile. And when I'm frightened, I want to use some personification to make the event seem more sinister. Okay, so I am going to have a siren in mind, so I'm going to compare my siren to something that's wailing or crying or screaming. All right. Sorry, I've lost the boxes of these. I'm then going to think about what I'm doing for my sentence structure. So when I'm doing my description, I'm going to use long, lazy sentences. I might have a list in there where I'm describing and listing the things around me. I'm going to use adverbial phrases to show time and place, so you remember exactly where you were and what was happening. I'm going to use extra information, so that might be sentences that have got brackets or pairs of commas, to include information where I might have to remind myself about what these objects were from the 1940s. And when I'm writing about being scared and apprehensive, I'm going to use some short sentences. Possibly I might have an ellipsis, because when you're frightened or when you're scared, you don't necessarily think in full thoughts. Your thoughts get interrupted by your panic and your fears. And I'm definitely going to use some short sentences here when I just signal the break. Okay, so these are the kind of devices I'm going to use in my writing. Okay, so I'd like you to do the same. Okay, so there will be a sheet that you can add to do your own. You can copy as much of my ideas, magpie as much of my ideas as you like. Okay. Oh, these have all jumped about. Sorry about that. So, finally, this is where you're going to be trying out your ideas. Okay, so how do you want your reader to feel? If you want your reader to feel safe, then what kind of sentences, what ideas might you have? So, I'm going to describe the hum of the radio downstairs. I'm going to hear the friendly murmur of voices. I'm going to remember the smell of the dinner of stew and cabbage that's lingering in the air. I'm going to make a note of the heavy curtains that are on my window that are kept closed to keep out the thought of the enemy. They're going to make me safe that those blackout curtains are there. Okay, warm and comfortable. What am I going to, kind of ideas might I have to show that I'm warm and comfortable? Okay, I'm going to describe the weight of the blankets on me. Blankets are much heavier than duvets. I'm going to describe the smell of the freshness, maybe the softness of the sheets. I'm going to say that my tummy is full and warm from Mum's cooking of stew and dumplings. And I'm going to remember the sweet, delicious taste of the hot milk and sugar still stuck on my lips. Then I'm going to continue with this, put as many ideas as I can think of, and then we're going to do about the siren breaking the silence. So this is what I said before, whining and wailing like a banshee. I've used personification and a simile. Cuts through the dark silence like a knife. Once again, I've got a simile there. Apprehension. Heart starts drumming, so my heart is drumming inside my chest. And my eyes are blinking rapidly to get the sleep out of them because I just dozed off and then that siren broke the silence. Okay? So when you finish this, go through and check against your success criteria. What have you used? Have you used your senses? Yes, I've got things I've heard, things I've smelt, and things I can see. I've got things I can feel. Okay, so I've definitely used my senses. I've actually got other devices I didn't list. I've got powerful verb here. Okay. I've used familiar objects. I said I was going to do that. And I've used ideas from the time, like the type of food I'd have for dinner. All right. I wouldn't have pizza because they didn't have pizza in those days. Okay, pizza was an Italian food. You wouldn't have had it in England. Okay, so when you've finished, make sure that you check that you've got enough of those features of your that you put in your plan. Now, these do not need to be actual sentences here. These are your ideas. So the next lesson, you will be putting these ideas together to write a paragraph, and we'll work on that in the next lesson. Okay? So good luck, children. The more you do on this, the more the easier the next lesson will be. Okay? Goodbye.